Okay, Chapter 7, Cost Volume Profit Analysis, Part 3, Changing Business Conditions. So in this, we'll show how we can use cost volume profit to predict what's going to happen when conditions are changing. Like, let's say prices are changing, or our fixed costs change, or we need to earn more or less. In other words, one of the variables in that chart, okay, is changing. And what's called a sensitivity analysis, and what we've got are maybe increasing costs, pricing pressures, other changing business conditions. So what this is called, especially in Excel, is a what if technique. What if sales prices change or costs change? What if our sales mix changes? So we use CVP to see how sensitive the numbers are. I don't know. This is out of your textbook also. This is, what if you're changing the sales price and volume? The break-even point will change and the unit contribution margin changes. So if the unit contribution margin, put it this way, if the sales price goes down, then the unit contribution margin goes down, and then you need more volume to break even to achieve your target profit. If the sales price goes up, the unit contribution margin goes up, and the volume that you'd need to break even would decrease,
we do have,
right?
This is a note because I gave this presentation to a student group. Obviously, testing now, they need to be done by 2024.
If you change variable costs, let's say if the variable costs increase, unit contribution margin decreases, and you'd need more volume. If the variable costs decrease, then the unit contribution margin would increase, and the volume that you'd need to break even or achieve a target profit would decrease. Okay, so higher variable costs have the same effect as lower selling prices. Okay, they reduce the unit contribution margin and then affect how much you have to sell.
That resulted in proposed exam changes that are now
fixed costs are a big deal. They do not change the unit contribution margin, but they definitely affect your break-even point. Okay, they're in the numerator. So if fixed costs increase, you need more volume. If they decrease, the volume that you need would decrease.
Just quickly as an FYI, in case you guys aren't familiar with all of the changes, I want to walk
for sustainability, this reduces costs and helps the environment. If you decrease the use of plastic, okay, that might reduce your variable costs, and decreasing variable costs also makes it easier to reach your target profit. So this is the type of analysis that's done when you're trying to improve sustainability in a company.
Kind of Bloom's derived, remembering, understanding, application,
now this is part 4, and we're going to look at multi-product companies and how to do those problems. Make sure that you look at the sample problems in this area.
Instead, what they determined based on
so the sales mix is a combination of products that make up total sales. And if everything is the same, a company earns more operating income by selling high contribution margin profits. So what we do is we calculate a weighted average contribution margin. We weight each contribution margin by the relative number of units sold and then do a break-even analysis that way. So here's an example of our company. She's got regular posters. Those are the ones that sold for $35 with a cost of $21, and large posters sell for $70 with a cost of $40. The large posters were making a higher contribution margin per unit. And then you can multiply that by your sales mix. I sell 5 of these, of the regular, for every 3 large posters. So you multiply to get a total contribution margin of 160. So it'd be 160 divided by a total of 8 units. My weighted average contribution margin per unit is 20.
In the BEC exam, from the entity perspective, how do they establish process?
So fixed expenses plus operating income divided by your weighted contribution margin, that tells me we've got to sell a total of 350 posters. So now we can multiply that times our ratio. 5/8 are regular and 3/8 would be large posters. Okay, and remember that our proportion here was 5 and 3, so we're just saying 5 of 8 are regular, 3 of 8 are large. Okay, we've just made a proportion out of it. So here's the sales revenue. Here is my contribution margin for the regular and large posters. Here's my selling price per unit.
And then the third area
multiplied by the sales mix. Here's my sales revenue. It would be 385. So the weighted average contribution margin ratio would be the total contribution margin of 160 divided by 385, my total sales revenue, or 41.56%. It's a little snaky, isn't it? So then I can take my fixed cost divided by the weighted average contribution margin ratio and get sales dollars, 16,844. This will get better once we do some problems, okay? I think we're almost, well, maybe not quite almost done. I'm going to do these ratios in the next video.